All right, time for our third and final video, which is troubleshooting. So if something goes wrong, at a rehearsal or on a Sunday morning, here is kind of the basic things and a few things that you can look at, starting at probably the most common things and then some odd things that happen. Um, Funnily enough, one of them is turning it off and on again, but we'll get to that later. So, troubleshooting. The first thing that I would always say, and this isn't even troubleshooting, this is something that's worth checking just at the start before you even get started, is just making sure that the output is running to the interface because we need to be sending it there. So the way you do that is if we go live, click on this live up here and preferences, and then see even my output right now is set to built-in output, which we don't want. We want to go and we want to click Scarlett 6i6 USB. So it's the only one that's going to say Scarlett because that is the name of our interface. So you click on that and there we go. So now our interface is our output and that is sweet. That is good. We should be receiving it there. One of the second thing that I would say, if it's not that, like we talked about in the first video, I believe, checking out our outputs. So they kind of vary a little bit per location, so you can talk to your sound guy if you're not sure, but they should always be exterior out in this top drop down box. Now, for things going into your in-ears, just your in-ears, it's usually channel 1. I believe it's channel 1 in all 3 locations. Where it varies is probably the tracks here. So for tracks at Warner and Redcliffe, the left one is 3 and the right one is 4. Now you can check that if it's not working, just make sure that's right. I believe because Morayfield also use their interface to run their keyboard, I think their keyboard is 3 and 4. So I think what you are doing is you're going channel 1, output 1 for the click and the guide, and then output 2 just for your track, and you're doing a mono track, so there's not 2. So checking your outputs there is always a good thing to do. If it's not working, something you can actually do, if you're not getting any sound, go to your preferences and actually do the opposite of what I said before. Put it onto built-in output, which is your speakers. Make sure your volume's up and test it out. Make sure you can hear it. Make sure it's actually reading it and making sound.
Verse 1.
Here's an interesting thing. See how this is not the same. This is green, this is blue here. That's because it's not actually reading. I'll show you. I've got the interface here, but there's nothing plugged into the back.
Verse 2.
So it's saying we've got nowhere to send it. And also the computer, the built-in output doesn't have an output 4. So if we put it onto 2, it's sweet. So if it's blue, then that's showing that something's wrong, that has nowhere to send it to. So if we go back to, let's send it back to the Scarlett. All right, so we've said make sure your output is set to the Scarlett. Make sure you check your outputs down the bottom here. Another thing to check is this happens sometimes if you lose power or if things are powered up in the wrong order. For example, if the power goes out before a service starts, which actually just happened on this previous weekend, that can sometimes mess it up. So the laptop will turn back on, the interface will turn back on, and they are not communicating properly. So I've struggled sometimes trying to figure out what's going wrong with the tracks. Literally all it was, I just turned everything off, shut down Ableton, even shut down the computer. There's a switch on the back of the interface, switch it off, back on, and then turn your computer back on and open up Ableton, and it just worked. So that is something good to check. Now that should get you sound. That should be, if you aren't getting sound, then that should be everything. Checking your outputs and doing that. Another thing that can happen with sound is if you can't hear your click, let me just unplug. If you can't hear your click, on the front of the interface, there's this big knob, the biggest one on here. We keep it at about 3 o'clock. So like on a clock where 3 o'clock is, that's where we keep it. If that is turned all the way down, then you're not going to be able to hear your click for whatever reason. I don't actually know why, but make sure that is up. So if you ever can't hear the click, check your outputs and everything, but then always check this as well. It's a bit sneaky. It can I can forget it sometimes, but that is a thing. Now, because I just unplugged the power of the interface, this orange bar just showed up down the bottom, and it says the audio engine is off. Please click here to choose an in-audio device. Basically, it's just saying we've got nowhere to send your sound to. You have no outputs. If you click on this, if you click on the orange bar, or you can go the other way we said before, preferences, it gives you, we're going to go back here. Now, I unplug the power to the interface, so we can't choose Scarlett, but it would say Scarlett there, and you choose that. A few more things. I know this is a lot of things, so maybe think about writing it down. The main ones are going to be choosing your outputs. The other ones are going to be a lot less common, but choosing the going to live preferences and then choosing Scarlett from here is going to happen weekly. Now, I guess some of the final things might be is timing when you're changing the key of something. Or if you haven't changed the key, and sometimes it automatically warps it for some reason. So like I said before, make sure that warp is only selected if you want to change the key. If you are changing the key and there's some weird timing things going on, just double check that this BPM here is matching what the song is. So let's show an example of when it doesn't do that. It's even doing it now, but let's go a bit crazy. Let's make that BPM there 150. Do the same thing here, 150. And do all the things that we do when we want to transpose, and let's, put it up. Let's drop it 4 semitones. 4 semitones. Let's see what it sounds like.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Just a mess. It's just a mess. It's not good. It's going to be out of time. So make sure make sure the BPM here matches BPM here. Yeah. As far as that is pretty much most of the stuff. If it is a Sunday morning and you're not sure, then you can ask someone else who might have a better idea, or talk to your sound guy. They also have a good idea. Even some of the sound guys, probably a good idea for you guys to watch this, so I'll let you know. But yeah, hopefully this has covered a lot of the stuff. Might take a few watches if you're not sure, but this is something you can come back to, a resource, just so you can be educated and really know what's going on with the tracks. Because it is a big thing to take in. It's not, just, oh, it's this, and that, and you're done. It's quite a big thing. But it's a great thing that adds to our services. And so this is a good step forward. So thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening to these videos, and I really hope it helped out.